perfect pass, aluminum A-arms for the Arrma 7 scale. And they have many features here that will actually solve a huge problem that many drivers had with speedruns and with drag, some bashers as well. This is how they look. Every little thing here has a purpose. I will now explain. With speedruns or with drag, we have plastic A-arms. They just flex a lot. I'm not really sure if you can see it on camera. If you're a speedrunner or a drag driver, if you noticed, every single run is different than the other, than the previous or the next. I kept asking myself why. So I made sure that the chassis is the best of the best. So we made the chassis. We made sure that we have a lot of aerodynamic components, of course, that keeps the car the same every run. We make sure that we manufacture speedrun and drag designated springs for the Arrma 7 scale, etc., etc. And I'm still driving the car and it still acts a little bit different every single time. Why? Well, plastic is prone to changes when it comes to temperature, moisture, or the actual age of the plastic. When you're actually driving your car speedrun or drag, the car obviously squat every time, the rear squat. Now, we actually do many things to address it, but what we don't really address is the main backbone of what actually squats, right? Every run, it flexes a little bit different. Every run, you have a little bit of a different squat. Some run, it's going to be only 2-3 millimeters more than you want it to be. Some runs, if the plastic, for example, temperature is rather cold, sometimes it's not going to flex at all. And then you're like, wait, hold on. It just flexed too much. I changed my setup due to it. Aerodynamic is now better because the car is not so lifted, and now it changed again. This is a huge problem, professional Raz. I went ahead and bought all the aluminum A-arms for Arrma because they're in the market, man. They're out there. You go out there, you go to all the websites, and you find a lot of aluminum A-arms. Tell you what, the reason I decided to make it a product is because the quality was so poor in most companies that make A-arms today that you might as well stay with your plastic. And let me explain why. Another issue that I didn't like, other than the flex, is that the breeze and air can actually go through the A-arms and it makes turbulence in the rear and in the front. We saw it in our 3D modeling and whatnot. This is something that I wanted to change. No more debris, no more air, no more turbulence in the rear area from the A-arm. Right now, they are completely sealed. Many of you guys will ask me, well, Raz, this looks very rigid and robust, great job, but what about the weight? Not that big of a deal. This is something we actually sampled before. The entire set, 6 of them. Obviously, you get the rear, the fronts, and the top for the fronts. We don't want anything to flex anymore. We want the setup to stay exactly the same every run. The entire weight difference is, I think, like 80 grams. So 6 of them with plastic, I think it's like 160 or 170 grams, and these are 250. So you have about 80, something about that, some 80 grams difference, not the end of the world. Many of you speedrun drivers or drag drivers will actually prefer that way. So completely up to you. I'm running them and they're perfect. The car is just solid and stable all the time. Another thing that most, I probably can say all, manufacturers for A-arms do is that they don't want a huge waste rate. They don't want to throw away a lot of their production because parts are not fitting and whatnot. So they make everything just slightly bigger than it needs to be. What it causes is once you actually install your A-arms, instead of that being just super smooth and not moving anywhere, you install your A-arm and then the A-arm just moves a lot. It's either for the rear or the front. So I decided no more. We are going to have a very tight tolerance, whatever it takes. And it takes, trust me, we're throwing a lot of these. But when it comes to this pin, those hinge pins for Arrma are, if I remember correctly, 3.97. And I wanted to make sure that our holes are not bigger than 3.99. So right now, when you're actually installing this A-arm, this is as tight as we can make it. It's tight. This A-arm, once you install it, it's solid, man. It goes nowhere. You don't have that weird rattle that most other manufacturers are creating, and I don't really blame them. I mean, I don't want to lose money as well, right? And they don't want to lose money. And throwing tens of these when you're making like 200-300 kits sucks, man. It just sucks. It costs a lot of money. So with us, we made sure the tolerance, we actually had to purchase and create our own reamer for those holes and make sure that they are as tight as possible. Once you install it in the car, it's not rattling, it's moving nowhere. Same goes to the front here, by the way, and same goes to these. Once you install it, you install your hub carriers, it's solid. Here's a good example. I don't really have another car. I'm trying to do everything on the go with one shot, so it's not a boring video, and just move through the video and show you the product to not bore you, but it's going nowhere. It just sits on the car, it's solid, and it's done. Another problem that I wanted to actually fix with those A-arms, if we're already making A-arms, let's fix all the issues that drivers might occur, is setup. With a normal A-arm, you only have one hole for the shock, right? So if you have too much squat, of course, the only medicine for it, right, in a way, is to actually treat your shocks. Open them, put some bump stops inside the shock and whatnot to make sure that your squat is not too much, right? So a lot of us have to constantly change our shocks and setup. I decided to create many more holes. So now, you see, this is the stock hole. Now, with the Perfect Pass aluminum A-arms, you can change your setup on the fly, and it takes a second. We provide them with all these screws, by the way. So it takes a second. You want your car to squat a little bit less? No worries. Don't waste your time on opening the shocks. It literally takes 10 seconds per side. Pull the screw, move the shock to this hole. Let me actually zoom in a little bit, and you'll have less squat, and the car will not go down as much. If you want more, no problem, just move it more. I think it's very rare. I don't think many of you guys will use this last hole here, because this really is too much. Like, the car will be so stiff, but you can play with it. Instead of the stock and then trying to solve the issue with the shocks, you can just move it. Same goes to the front of the car. The front of the car, obviously with stock, it comes with one hole, no more. If you want to change your height in the front on the fly, no worries. You can just change it like that. So you go out there and you're speedrunning your car, and you notice, sorry about that, and you notice that the car is a little bit too high or a little bit too low or whatnot. Don't worry about it. Just grab your Allen or your hex, and it's literally 10 seconds per side. You can decide exactly where you want your shock to sit, and accordingly the car will get lower or higher. So this goes to the front, and this goes to the rear. The top A-arms, I gotta tell you, man, this is gorgeous. This is some bling bling. It took forever, so I'm obviously very proud of it. This is a very, very tough and durable aluminum, and it's anodized in a very, very nice way. This process actually takes a lot longer than other processes, but I think it was actually worth it. We spent a lot of time in development and a lot of money on this product. Front, same thing. We made it a little bit wider. So the front sits a little bit wider. We really wanted to make sure that everything is solid. The more you close the screw here on the actual top arm, the more it will not move for you. And obviously, like I said, the actual holes, regardless of the pressure that you're applying here, the actual holes, we had to actually build our own reamer for them. They are solid, man. They're just solid. They're going nowhere. And they're fine. This is the A-arms. Actually, let me get you guys off the tripod and show you guys around a little bit. This car already obviously has these A-arms installed. You will just use your own set screws. If you need them, obviously, for speedrun and drag, you might not want to use set screws. Obviously, with carbon fiber chassis, you might really not want to use set screws and have your own setup with your shocks, but obviously it is available and you can install them, of course. This is how everything looks here when it comes to, I tried to actually put some stock parts just so you guys can see how everything actually works. This is obviously what I talked about in the shock, that you can actually decide where the shock sits, and based on that, the height of the car will obviously change as well. Same goes to the front. This is how everything looks. It's super, super rigid, super, super professional. This is just, in my opinion, how it should be once and for all. And honestly, it's one of those products that you buy and just lasts, I don't want to say forever, because then you guys can actually say, hey, Raz, you said it's going to last forever, and it only lasted a year. Like, come on. It should last, honestly, forever. Like, it should last for a very, very long time, unless you're putting your car into a wall at like 100 miles an hour. I don't know what to tell you. It's just super durable. It's there. And obviously, plastic, it's just flexing, and temperatures and humidity changes the behavior of your A-arms all the time. I kind of call it the silent killer for speedrunners and drag drivers, because the setup really does change all the time. This is how you receive it, by the way, just want you guys to see. They're obviously well protected, so they're not being scratched or dinged, and you are receiving the quality that you're paying for, of course. Let's flip it like a steak. This is how the bottom of the kit looks. And now the second product I wanted to show you will solve tons of headaches with drivers as well out there, so I think it only fits to put it in the same video. Also, this is just a brand new anodized aluminum front splitter for the Arrma 7 scale to work and nicely seal entirely those FC100 bodies by Delta Plastic. So I think it doesn't really deserve a full video. It's just a front splitter, but this is something I created and I wanted to kind of share with you guys. It actually started as a personal need. I'm going to share with you the prototype. This is what I made for myself when I started, because I really want to have that perfect seal in the front aerodynamically for the FC100. Obviously the Delta Plastic Ford FC100 bodies. If you're a speedrunner out there, you know that this is the creme de la creme, the best of the best. This is what you want to use for speedruns. So a lot of us very fast drivers are using this body, but for some weird reason, no manufacturer actually made a splitter that will go inside and seal this body completely. And actually, let me show you exactly what I mean. By the way, this is how you receive it. Of course, it's protected and whatnot. Those are relatively really cheap products, and they're cheap to make. They're cheap when I sell them. So I just think it's a must if you're having a FC100 by Delta Plastic, because this is what you're pretty much getting. What you're getting is a sealed car, and this is what I wanted with all my other speedrun cars. This is the prototypes that I've had for myself, and then I decided to make it a product. Why not letting the community enjoy the same benefit? Of course, I think they look sick, they're really nice, and soon I'm going to talk about something else that they solve, but I just want you guys to see how that looks. It's just a complete seal. You just install it on the car, and you install your Delta Plastic FC100 body, and then you just cut it, and it's done. It's just sealed. You can still use tape and whatnot, but this just helps a lot. Let me actually position it on the car and show you how that looks. Obviously, when you install it, for some weird reason, man, no other manufacturer wanted it to be 100% sealed. All of them are a little bit like so, or maybe on the outside and whatnot. It was a bit of a pain to get the shape just right, but it's worth it, man. Let me tell you, you're installing it on your car, and your FC100 is just completely sealed. It's done. Also, I think it looks sick, but besides the fact that it's aerodynamically proven and what we need, also, if you're a speedrunner and you're out there doing like probably 170 miles an hour and over, you know that when we stop, there's just so much energy and the car bottoms down, right? And it's actually scraping the road. With carbon fiber, as much as it's cool, if you're like 150s, maybe 140s and below, you might be okay. But when it scrape the road like that, you get many splinters with the carbon fiber. And then when you're trying to hold the car, you have a lot of, hold on, sorry about that. You get a lot of those splinters here. And this part, here in the front is being so scraped, it's kind of hard to hold the car sometimes. So I thought aluminum will be better and a lot stronger as well. This is proven, of course. I've driven it more than 200 miles an hour many times, and it's in there. Also, I made sure that it sits very, very snug and nice on the Arrmas, so everything is just blocked. I made sure these are as big as possible without hitting the wheels. Those wheels are like 105 millimeter. It's not hitting, so it's exactly what you want. I made sure that we get as much blockage, if you will, on the bottom of the car. Once again, not such a professional video for those. I just want to kind of on the fly to show you that they're available as well. I think they look great. They're very, very durable. They're robust. They're aluminum, and they're anodized. They look good on the car, and they do exactly what they should do by sealing the body in the front completely. So when you're driving your car aerodynamically, you don't have air actually entering the body, and this is how it looks. I know I repeat myself, but that's what you get from unedited, unprofessional, on the fly live videos. So this is also available on the website, perfectpassrc.com, and of course the A-arms that I showed you earlier. Enjoy. I'm Raz Shifrin. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for allowing me to share my passion with you guys. See ya.